Alright, this unit is Unit 2 Lesson 1 of the engineering design process. And if we take a look at our design brief here, I highlighted a couple key points here. We are going to build a crane boom that has to attach to the tower. And we're going to have a 1/4 inch hole in the middle of our block. The joints must be glued, no mechanical feature, so I'm using some wood glue here. Very little, small amounts is good, and you'll see that. You can use a counterweight. I'm not going to design mine with a counterweight, that's an option. The boom must hold the weight 14 inches from the center of the tower. That's really the reach of the arm is going to be 14 inches. The maximum length of my total crane is 20 inches. Okay? So you can actually have more or less hanging over the front, but you need at least 14 inches from the center. And you have to be able to hook something. There has to be a place where to hook the weight on at the end of your crane. Very important. So make sure you have some type of truss going across the front. The crane must be a structure which holds the weight. You're going to have 4 1/4 inch balsa wood strips. Looks like this. And you are going to be able to use 7 feet of string. I'm not going to use any string for mine because I want you to come up with something a little bit more creative. You need 15 craft sticks. I don't have craft sticks, so I just cut some shims that I had. And that's the cool thing about any of these projects. If you don't have something, you can always substitute another material in there. So I'm only going to use 8 of those. And you'll have 1 piece of wood 3 by 3 by 1/4 inch. Mine's a little thicker. It really doesn't matter what you use, just so we can build something to mount that crane on. Okay, and that's it for the design brief. There's some very important concepts there. Okay, before we get started, of course you're going to have to design your crane, but I'd like to talk really important about the type of joints you're going to have when you're creating this crane. First of all, this little truss here that I put together, I have glued it. You're not going to see any glue sticking out. The only place you need glue is where you have contact in the surfaces. If you have too much, it'll create air bubbles and it won't dry. I just glued this together a few minutes ago. We have multiple types of joints here. The first joint right up here, we have a butt joint where this beam is coming across. A butt joint is fine where the forces are going to be squeezing together or pushing together like this. So that's fine. Now here up on top with this beam going across, I created a lap joint. That's actually, you have more surface area holding it. And if there was a pulling force on that, you'd be much better off with a lap joint. The other type of joint coming across here, you know, it's called a miter joint. And I was able to angle that down in there. And if it pushes, if the force pushes, it's not only pushing against the top, it's also pushing against this piece. And you'll see a lot of trusses go back and forth like that because what you have, these trusses are either going to be in compression and tension. And if you can get your crane where those forces equal each other, that's the really secret of building a successful crane. So I'm going to actually build 1 truss at a time, my first side and my second side, but really important on those joints that you understand those. And your teacher may have a resource video for that. Now, one of the first things I did was mark my 3-inch block of wood, and I know one of my constraints is from here to the end of my crane. I need it to be a distance of 14 inches at a minimum. I'm going to make mine 14 inches, and actually I'm going to come back from the center and have 4 inches. So my total length is 14 plus 4. I'm going to have an 18-inch beam foundation going there. That's going to be the bottom of my crane on my side view. Okay, the next thing you want to do is I drew the side view of my crane. And once I draw the side view, it's very important to go and measure the amount of materials you have. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint here. I took my shims that I had, and I don't have a saw here, so I just have a utility knife. And basically I took those shims and I cut them in half. So that gives me almost double the amount of materials. Anything you do in this class or anything, if you can stretch your materials out somewhere, maybe you'll have an advantage. So what we have here is 24 piece inches of balsa wood, and we have 15 craft sticks. So think about how you can utilize those materials. Now, there's many ways to put this together. I would recommend building one truss right on this side and then putting the other truss, but I don't, my cuts aren't perfect because all I have is a utility knife, so I had to score these and split them in half. If you have a scroll saw at school, that would really help to make a more precise cut. So your crane's actually going to look better than mine. So what I'm doing, I made both my bottom beams here, and then I'm going to come over here and attach them to my block of wood as soon as that dries. So you can be making multiple parts of your truss at once. So you could make this, and then you could go over and make the other part of your truss while you're waiting for the glue to dry. The key is this is nearly dry right now. I just glued this a couple minutes ago, and you don't see any glue sticking out, and so it's ready to work with right now. Okay, now what I'm doing is I just put my bottom beam out there, and I want to make sure that if I measure from the end down here to the center of the block, how long does that have to be? 14 inches minimum. Remember, 14 inches minimum. Maximum from here to the end is 20 inches. So I'm going to let that glue set a little bit, and then I'm going to build the side of my truss. Like I said, I may recommend building 2 trusses on the side and then putting them on together. But for the materials I had, I decided to go this route. Now, here you can see at the end of my crane, this is a very important joint right here. And this is an example of, here's a lap joint going across. Why? Where's the force? This is where the hook's going to hang on. It's going to be pulling down. So lap joint is great. If I were to put a butt joint in there inside, and I've seen that done where somebody put a butt joint inside the inside. Well, that's okay if the pressure is squeezing this way, but you're going to be pushing it down. This is where we're going to hang the hook. Very important to take advantage of that. We're going to have that lap joint going across there. Now, my truss is starting to come together and resemble a little bit like a crane. Keep in mind, these pieces that I'm putting in here, I'm breaking with my hand. I'm assuming maybe some classes don't even have tools. You don't need a scroll saw. The only tool I have here is a utility knife and a pen and a square. Okay, that's it. So your crane is going to be better. It's going to look better with the materials that you have. But the shape of it is really what we're focusing in on. And taking a look at the Pythagorean theorem, making sure we have enough material, okay? And the joints, once again, what do I want? I'm going to get a pulling force here. I want a lap joint. Same thing here. I've got a lap joint. It's going to be pulling down. I get a nice clean surface on that, and the same thing down here. And I've just glued these, and they're already sticking on there. So, I'm just doing the 2 side views right now. Okay, another view that you should draw is the top view. You can see I have my top view drawn in here, and I want to get rid of this rectangle because remember there's 3 forces on this: compression, tension, and then you have the torsion. This is going to help prevent your crane from twisting. Okay, what I did, I just took my top view that I drew and I applied that concept to my crane here, coming across here and right here, and then even on the back. What you don't want is you don't want any rectangles anywhere in this crane. And I do not have a lot of supplies left, so I really have to watch what I do here, and that's critical. Alright, if we look at our crane now, we notice our side view, we don't have any rectangles. If we look at the top, none. And we don't have any on the bottom. The problem is is if we look down the middle, we have one big rectangle. So that is definitely going to twist. We're going to have to fix it, and you can see how much material that we have left here. So we have a little bit of material left, and we're actually going to do the inside now. And if you want, you could actually design the inside. Remember, your crane's going to look better. This is a crane that's built with a utility knife, glue, and a pencil, and a pen. That's it, and a sheet of paper. So, if you're in a computer lab, if you're home on a dining room table, or wherever you are, you can definitely build this project. Alright, I'm basically finished with my crane. I have these pieces here, but what I can do with any pieces I have left over, I can just break them in half and come with any of these joints that I have on my crane that I think are important. And what I can do is create a lap joint there. So I'm just going to take these pieces basically of your popsicle stick, and any place I have a joint here that I can connect, make it a little bit stronger, I can just break a piece, glue it, put it right on there. It doesn't look pretty, but it is really effective of what you can do to really strengthen your joints. You notice right here I have 3 pieces coming together. If I break a piece and just lay it across there and put some glue on it, that's going to really make it a lot stronger. So I'm going to do that to a couple key joints. I'm going to maximize, I'm going to use all the material that I have and do that. And you can see what I did, I just took 3 or 4 pieces coming together there and really solidified those. And remember, up here in the end, it's going to be real important to your crane. If I laid my crane back down on my original design, you can see it's exactly as I planned it out. Okay? And that's really what you want, and that's the crane strain. And good luck. You'll put it on and give it a test. Remember, you'll have counterweights you can use or a string. This is just to give you an idea. Once again, if you look down through now, I no longer have that rectangle. I have now triangles down through the center of my crane. So yours is going to look a lot prettier than mine, but good luck with the unit, and hope you have a lot of success.